Hi, this is Roxana Forever Diva, and I'm on my way to the gym because in order to get to where I want to go, I have to start somewhere. And I'm severely overweight and it's time. But I was in the shower, and I always get the good ideas in the shower, and I'm gonna tell you a little story. It turns out that today I posted a blog, written blog, on Twitter, learning Twitter. It was inspired by Think Media TV's video on how to grow your YouTube channel with Twitter. Sean Cannell is doing a really great job. I am going to post a link to that particular channel below if you haven't seen it, just in case you haven't seen it. I doubt it, but just so in case you haven't seen it. And it turns out that Sean is talking about the first like 7 or 8 minutes. He's talking about things that you should do on Twitter regardless. It has nothing to do with YouTube at that point. So the first thing he said was about the picture and the tagline and whatnot, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing this all wrong. But here's the thing. We can get into an argument of whether he's right or wrong about how to use Twitter effectively. He's not the first person to say that what he was talking about and his perspective on how Twitter should be used. I remember I was in a class once and somebody said, so you understand social media. Twitter is like the cocktail party you go to or the after hours or a meetup. And Facebook is when you have a party at your house. And that was the distinction he wanted us to make so that we would cater our efforts effectively in both places. Now, I have Facebook pages. I belong to Facebook groups. I have, of course, my own personal profile. I have a Twitter feed, but I've rarely used it the way I'm supposed to. And so on my blog, which I am going to link below, I explained something that I learned about what Sean was talking about and how I was going to apply it and how I need to learn to use Twitter all over again. But the funniest thing happened afterwards, and that's what I wanted to talk about here because I didn't write this on the blog. One of the great uses of Twitter is as a source for you to use on your own social media. And what do I mean by that? Everybody's always posting content, other people's content, information about things that interest them. I'm going to use an example. I have a page on Facebook, which is Metamorphosis Rocks, which is also the other channel that I have here on YouTube. And most of the time, I talk about Alzheimer's on that page because it is something that directly impacts the life of people over 50. Whether you have a loved one or you are living with somebody with it or you think you're going to get it, that's a topic of conversation. So the thing about it is that while I was looking at what Sean was saying, I decided to hashtag the word Alzheimer's, and right off the bat, I got links to 3 articles on 3 things that are happening right now in the world of Alzheimer's. And so I now have 3 pieces of content that I can put on my Facebook page that I didn't know before. And I had totally forgotten that's one of the greatest things about Twitter, that you can use Twitter so that you're not always pushing your own content. You share whatever is relevant, whatever is important. The other reason why that is important is because it also gives you content for you to write blog posts. I don't know who's calling me, but they're driving me crazy. I apologize. It also gives you content for you to talk about because you can post a link to whatever research you're watching and saying your own perspective on the situation, which is something I am going to do tomorrow with one of the blog posts that I found when I research Alzheimer's. But that works for everything. Whatever your market is, whatever your business is. In the case of Jamberry, I sell Jamberry nail wraps. There's tons of things about Jamberry, about nails, about taking care of your nails on Twitter that you can use to create content or to repost other people's content. And more importantly, as you're watching that stuff, since it's relevant to you and you're interested in it, you can comment on that and start a conversation on Twitter, and you killed two birds with one stone. Anyway, I don't know if Sean talks about this because I haven't finished watching the training that he has, and since he's concentrating on Twitter use for YouTube following, he might not go into that aspect of it. But I just found that interesting, and like I told you, whenever I learn something, I want to pass it on to you guys. So that's why I'm making this video. And now I'm gone because I have to go to the gym. Y'all have a good day. Thank you very much for watching.